My name is Angelo Graham. I was production designer on the film Beverly Hills Cop and had the pleasure of working with Martin Brest, who is a wonderful director and certainly came up with a pretty damn good film, I think. Just getting the cooperation that you need in Beverly Hills is very difficult. There are a lot of restrictions placed on what you can do, when you can do it, you know, what times are available to shoot, and it's usually late afternoon when the crowds have really subsided. Yeah, well, when we shot on Rodeo Drive, it was essentially a relatively simple shot, just following several people walking towards the camera and dolling with them, and getting Rodeo Drive in the background. We were able to get what we needed and try to do it as quickly as possible, with minimal disturbance to the shops around. But it always attracts a crowd. The exterior of City Hall itself, we had to do a lot of work there. At the time, I don't think that there was much planning in front. It looked kind of scraggly. So we had to really replant all of their planters out in front, add a few more palms, make it a little more lush, but they were cooperative. Victor Maitland's mansion, the exterior we found in Santa Monica Canyon, very near the beach. But we had quite a bit of work to do there. The shootout, the exterior shootout, we had to add, a lot of phony walls that get bullet squibs on them, and urns with flowers that could be shot up, and generally just dress up the area, make it a little more palatable. It was Mediterranean style. It had a lot of stairways and arched windows. And we weren't allowed to shoot in the house at all. But we did manage to find an interior that sort of matched. It had similar windows, arched windows that would recall the exterior and sell it as being the interior. And that house was on Lake Hollywood. It was Bugsy Siegel's house at one time, and it sits on a promontory, which is only accessible from a road down below. It's 50 or 60 feet below the house, with a staircase, spiral staircase that goes up, and an elevator that goes up to the level where the house is. It's almost like a fortification. And the shootout for the interior was done there. And they allowed us to do pretty much what we wanted to do. We had to add more phony walls and whatnot for the bullet hits, and the breaking of windows and that sort of thing. And it worked well. I think you couldn't tell the difference between the exterior and the interior. It sold as the same house. The hotel that is supposed to be in Beverly Hills is actually the Biltmore, which is in downtown Los Angeles. The Biltmore has a very impressive facade that doesn't look too much unlike the Beverly Hills Hotel. It sort of recalls a similar architecture. But I think the Biltmore is a little more impressive on the exterior. And it worked out well. We were able to have the run of the place more or less. So we did a lot of work on the exterior, a lot of planning, carpet, red carpet, and then plants on the interior. And the suite where Eddie Murphy stays, that was upstairs, and we had to more or less redo that and add more artwork and dress it up a bit more than it was. The warehouse is located right off Wilshire Boulevard in the Mid-Wilshire district, somewhere around the Miracle Mile. And it worked out physically for the exterior because of the way there was a ramp that went down to the warehouse. We had to be able to back up a truck into that area and unload some of the artwork which eventually went into the warehouse, and still have a place for a police car to park, undercover car to park, with the view down that alleyway. And there was a lot of action that took place there. And on the interior, we had to add doors, artworks that were packaged already, a lot of boxes, and a shootout in there as well. A lot of shooting going on. Well, the art gallery wasn't an art gallery at all. It happened to be a shoe store on Wilshire Boulevard, just a quarter of a mile east of Rodeo Drive. The interior was really slick and looked great for an art gallery. You know, high ceilings, large overhanging cornices and whatnot that were stepped in a very modern way. It looked slick. And the walls were the right color and everything. But there were thousands of shoes that had to be removed, and the showcases were covered over, which ones we couldn't move. And the major art piece in there was a forced perspective of a table with people sitting around and their heads on plates spinning, and the maitre d' or whoever he was just standing there, this figure that actually looked like Martin Brest. He got a big kick out of that.
I see you look at this piece.
Yeah, I was wondering how much something like this went for.
$130,000.
Get the fuck out of here!
No, I cannot. It's serious because it's very important piece.
Then we brought in all of these artworks, a hell of a collection of way out stuff. And there was one large piece. It was a standing mobile, all metal, weighed several tons, and we had to bring that in piece by piece, put it together. Well, that piece alone is probably worth $150,000. And the other artworks, that's up for grabs. The men's club where Eddie Murphy intrudes on Maitland was a building that we found in Pasadena, you know, near the college there. I think it was the School of Engineering. And Marty came up with the name of Harrow, we call it the Harrow Club. Sounded sort of British and very stodgy and stuffy. And added the buffet and all the tables and the dinnerware. But we took one of the larger rooms and the entry and made it into a very luxurious men's club type setup. The strip club, it's a bar on Sunset, just east of Western Avenue. That was actually a go-go dancer type bar. It was Moorish. The exterior architecture was Moorish, and inside, you know, your average bar, horseshoe bar. We had to not only find the club, but we had to put up the poles and polish them for the girls.